Roy Keane went to Celtic when he finished at Manchester United.
Yeah.
Arguably too late on in his career, didn't have the impact that he hoped he would have. Yeah. But it's fair to say he's steeped in Celtic, and Celtic fans no doubt love him. Would he be the right fit?
I think you can look at Roy's managerial record and you can take it either which way. You know, obviously when he went into Sunderland, he had an immense impact for a short period of time because they were languishing at the bottom of the league, and did something very similar that Ian Dowie did for me, which is take a team that were third or fourth from bottom of the league and get them promoted in the same season. So you look at the impact effect of a short-term appointment like that and say, well, he did that. Now you look at what he did at Ipswich, did the converse, did a job that, you know, ultimately wasn't of the greatest ilk. He's been in a Republic of Ireland. He's been in Aston Villa. I think at times he's an outstanding pundit, and some of his analysis and some of his evaluative thinking and some of his hold to account outlook and attitude is engaging. Some of his pantomime villain stuff, not so much. I think Celtic have a big job on their hands, and they need people that are capable of doing this job to bridge this gap. And whether there's an affinity or an association from religious backgrounds or outlooks is not the question here, really, because Stephen Gerrard had no association with Rangers besides going in there and being capable of doing the job that he was tasked to do.
Yeah, but he had a profile.
Yeah,
and Keane's got a profile.
Yeah, but Gerrard also had no baggage to carry with him, had a management team that was come alongside him, and a project that afforded him a different set of circumstances, where Rangers were aspiring again, coming back from the brink of oblivion and starting to rebuild, and Gerrard was the final part of a jigsaw that Ali McCoist had started 7 years earlier on rebuilding Rangers. Celtic is a different dynamic. There's a different expectation. I think it's a huge risk of the Roy Keane now that we've got. Roy Keane going into management first time round, possibly you could see that whilst the risk would have been there for a newbie, the Roy Keane we've got now, I think as a football manager, he's done. He's done. I don't think there's a real place for Roy with some of his outlook and some of his attitude and some of his disposition. I think he's now in the media and very good at it. He'll have a different view, of course, but I think for Celtic to do the job that they need to do, which is rebuild them and to get rid of what's gone on there for the last 12 months. They've got a change of chief executive, Peter Larwell stepping down. They've got a whole rebuild to be able to rebuild back where Rangers have whittled away their dominance. And you need serious people to do serious jobs.
You think he's done?
And I don't dispute that Roy Keane is a serious individual, but I don't think he's got the skill set to give Celtic what they really need. Look at Roy Keane and say, is there anything in his body of work besides a very short period of time at Sunderland that gives you the credence to say he's a decent manager? Yes, I tell you what it is, because he was a Man United captain, and once upon a time he was an iconic figure. Okay, great. That's rearview mirror stuff now. What has he done in his managerial career?
Yeah, but you could say that about Gerrard. What had he done?
It's a risk. It's a risk.
But Gerrard was at the front of his career, and there was an investment in what he was going to become. Roy Keane is 50 years of age, right? You know, with due respect, you kind of know what you are and what you're not by the age of 50. And he's had managerial jobs. His attitude and disposition towards players hasn't changed. It hasn't evolved. It wasn't 5 minutes ago that he was calling out Irish players for being a certain way. Now, he may well be right, but that doesn't show that he's learnt the lessons that need to be learnt to be able to manage modern day players. It basically says that he has one way of operating, which is it's my way or the highway, which is great if you're definite in your views. But sometimes if you've got a group of players that you need to manage in a certain way, there's no point bollocking and biting all the time. There is a dynamic that you have to have, which is being able to adapt.